Hey, Greg. Hey, Stuart.
Hi.
Oh.
I like Philip's meeting. Philip P meeting over on the left.
Yeah.
Glad.
Okay, in 22 seconds, we're starting. I just realized that in the chapel, all of you may not know this, but we actually have no excuse for being late because there's a clock at the very entrance of the chapel. It's straight in front of us. You all may not notice it because you walk in and it's at your back. But the clock in the back of the chapel is 4 minutes late. So forgive us.
Okay, let us begin, dear Shy. Let's see you clap since I can't hear you sing. I think this is your moment.
Oh, yes, this is my moment. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Let's see. I am supposed to be, or I plan to be on a plane on Sunday night to go visit our son. I'm not going to go. I'm thinking about in June in 1966, an award that Shai Agnon, received in Israel, the Nobel Prize for Literature. And I want to share this. Shai Agnon, his home in Jerusalem, is just really a few steps from the home where our son Gavi lives in Jerusalem. And I'm thinking about this story. One of the reasons is because of our Parsha, Korach. And Korach is one of his great shortcomings is he seems like he's this great egalitarian, but he's really sort of an advocate for himself. Anyway, so this is a little vort about Shai Agnon, which is the sort of the opposite of Korach, who, when he was told that he was receiving the Nobel Prize for Literature, and the Nobel folks said to him, we want to come to you to deliver the prize, have a little ceremony, and so they scheduled the date. It happened. They got to his home, and they asked him, we want to take some pictures and look like you're writing something, as if you're writing one of the stories. He was a world famous and a celebrated storyteller, and so all these photographs of Shai Agnon writing something, and after the photographs were taken, one of the people there, a Hebrew speaker, was curious, what did he actually write? Or did he write anything, or did he just sort of scribble? And it turns out that what Shai Agnon wrote at that moment is a little piece, sort of half of a Hasidic teaching that many of you know. The Hasidic teaching says that every person should carry in his or her pocket one note, a note in the right pocket and a note in the left pocket. And the note in the right pocket should say, Nivra ha'olam bishvili, the world was created for me. That's maybe a Korach note. And the note written on the for your left pocket will say, Anochi afar ve'afar, I am but dust to dust, from dust to dust. So that's the little Hasidic vort, which is a deep spiritual challenge and insight. Written on Shai Agnon's piece of paper was just the second of these two notes. I am but dust to dust. And what a striking choice to make in the moment in which you're being recognized as one of the world's greatest, surely one of the great storytellers of the world. This is 1966. I write a note that reminds myself I am but dust to dust. He could have, of course, chosen to write the other note. The world's made for me. Look how important I am. But he doesn't. He didn't. And I think that in this time of so much struggle and loss and insecurity and uncertainty, a lot more humility would be good for us. So with that, we'll go to the
that
humility.
very serious thought, we will then talk about.
What's wrong with it? It's not so serious. Should we talk about whether it's serious or not? It's just sweet and meaningful. The candles that we light on Shabbat, one candle is meant from I am but dust to dust. The other candle is meant for the world is made for me. And actually, in a little bit, when we take a little break before Shalom Aleichem, we're going to come back to these two ideas and the two candles.
And on your birthday, you get to say, the world is made for me. And so it's our joy to ask Joanne Davis
Yay.
to kindle the Sabbath lights. We're on page 2.
Yay, Davis.
And her family.
And happy birthday to Rabbi Miriam.
Thank you, Joanne. Our birthday's one day apart, right?
Yep.
I love that. Hello, Zach and Josh and Paul.
Hello. Hi. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Thank you. You guys too.
Okay, shall I say the prayer?
Sure, go for it.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת.
Amen.
Amen. Beautiful. Yafet. Thank you so much, all.
A good, sweet year,
May
healthy year.
the light of those candles fill your homes and your hearts, and know that by lighting these candles, you actually have brought more light to all of our lives.
Thank you.
Page 13, Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. When we light those candles, we get to see everything in an Or Chadash, in a new light.
Awesome.
Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai Baruch Shemo. Masru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Sapru v'goyim kevodo. Bechol amim niflotav. Ki gadol Adonai. Umehulal me'or. Yalai, lalai, 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 Page 16, Zamru Ladonai Bechinor. We're going to praise God with every instrument, with shouts and with all the sounds of nature. Page 16. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor v'kol zimra. בחצרות וכל שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, יהי רם ים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בר, נהרות ימחלו חם יחד, לפני אדוני קיבה, וישפוט הארץ, וישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים במישרים. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בר. Page 19, the last two lines, Adonaios. And maybe use this moment to take a breath and breathe out the week. If there's anything you need to let go of, breathe in the sweetness of Shabbat, the strength of Shabbat, the beautiful faces that give us strength on this screen. 19. Adonaios, le'amo yiten Adonai, yivarech et amo. Adonaios, le'amo yiten Adonai, yivarech et amo. Dodi, page 20. Verse 2, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, בראש מקדם משוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לילה לילה חלוני, לילה לילה לקראת to welcome the Shabbat bride facing your door if it's your custom. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'b'tola toch emuneh am segula boi chala.
Okay, so in a moment, we're going to, a couple moments, we're going to sing Lecha Dodi together. Shalom Aleichem together, welcoming the angels and each other. But before that, we're going to continue to try to experiment with a breakout room. And I'm going to give you a question to talk about. You'll be put in a breakout room for just a couple minutes with a handful of Beth-Elers. But before you do, I have to share a couple little silly jokes with you, all in the spirit of a birthday. It wasn't just Joanne's birthday. I got to celebrate a big one. So here's a few little funny ditties. What goes up and never comes down? Your age. Were any famous men born on your birthday? No, only little babies. What did one candle say to the other? Don't birthdays burn you up? I like birthdays, but I think too many can kill you. Lastly, it's easier to remember your age if you don't change it every year. Okay, so there's just some
We'll
cute.
ask Elliot Rosenzweig about those
That's
later.
true. Elliot is my resident. It's like he's like the Olympic judge measuring, telling me whether I got a 3 or a 9.5 for my joke or jokes. Okay, so we're going to put you into little breakout rooms, and I want to ask you in your breakout room, encourage you to focus on is which of the two notes in our pocket speaks more to you? The note that says, I am but dust to dust, from dust to dust, or the note that says, the world is created for me. Okay?
So be sure to introduce yourselves and share your name.
Yes.
And if you're not on the Zoom, if you're watching through live stream, feel free to reflect upon those questions or to talk about them with someone you're sitting next to if you're with someone. Okay, go for it, Greg. back, everybody. I hope you had deep discussions, or at least got to just hear a voice and hear a name and see each other, maybe get to know somebody new. Our little session ended with a really deep thought, which was that it's not so much that the world was made for me, but I'm made for the world. Not my thought. That was Rabbi Levine, Stan. That really we are to be of service. So when we're singing Shalom Aleichem on page 24, the definition of an angel, that's who we are referring to, the Malchei Hasharet, those angels at the gates, they're messengers. They are to be of service, to understand ourselves as servants for something larger. 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Yom, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bafuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeichem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh You know, you're supposed to pray with a ability to look out a window. It's a very important mitzvah. So, Linda Diamond, I get to look at the sky through you. It's such a beautiful thing. Thank you. If we're able to do so comfortably, we rise for the Baruch Hu. It's on page 28.
Karen. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Le'olam On page 31, the bottom, this is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim, page 32.
Ahavat Olam. תפיסת עולם, בית ישראל עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, לשבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, לאורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Page 36.
You may be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. 39. We'll go back and forth responsively, Mayor and I.
Okay.
Join me if you wish, or join Mayor, depending on who's your favorite rabbi. Just kidding. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace.
Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing at the shores of the sea. Michamocha, page 40.
Ad Adonai Yaakov U'Goalo Miyad Chazak Mimenu Baruch Ata Adonai Gal Yisrael.
Hashkivenu 42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Ve'hamidenu shomreinu leChayim Ufros aleinu Sukat shlomecha Ufros aleinu Sukat shlomecha Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Ve'hamidenu shomreinu leChayim. Vishamru 44. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat la'asot et haShabbat ledorotam brit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat la'asot et haShabbat ledorotam brit olam. Beini uben bnei Yisrael oti leolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai et hashamayim ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We rise as we are able for the Amidah 46. Adonai sefatai tifkach ufi yadi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel הגיבור והנורא, אליון, גומר חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבניהם, למען שמו בימיו, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, עזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם לעולם, מחיי הכל אתה רב ומושיע, מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סובב נופלים ורומם חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו בשני עפר, מלך מביט ומחייך, ומצביע בשמרה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
52.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים וקדושים בכל יום להללו השלום. ברוך אתה אדוני, ברוך אתה Taking a moment for our own private silent prayers, those on the page, the meditations of your heart, seated or standing. We'll meet you in a few moments. We now bridge to Mishaberach, our prayer for healing on 253. Any names that you are thinking of, you can add them to the chat, of course, offering them in your heart. So we put all of our hope and love towards these names. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Laimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. So as Mayor already made reference, we have arrived at Parashat Korach. Vayikach Korach, ben Yitzhar, ben Kahat, ben Levi. Now Korach, son of Yizhar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, took himself, V'Datan va'Aviram b'nei Eliav, along with Datan and Aviram, descendants of Reuben. Vayakumu lifnei Moshe. And they stood there, standing, rising up against Moses, together with 250 Israelites who were chieftains, chosen in the assembly, men of repute. This week, the group that I have just described, all of them tell Moses that he has gone too far, raising himself above the community, co-opting all of the power. But as we have learned before, Moses was not in fact such a power-hungry dude. When meeting God at the burning bush, he didn't rush into the job of leadership. Rather, Moshe is described as the most humble man on earth. Given this, how do you think he will respond to Korach's complaint? Will he yell? Will he throw them out? As some of our Torah study regulars might know, the story continues this way. Vayishma Moshe, and when Moses hears this, the anger of Korach and his band, Vayipol al panav. He literally falls on his face. It's a dramatic image. So now let's move from the weekly Torah portion to our own present day, COVID-19 reality. A situation no longer new. We are days, weeks, months into this. And yes, there is some progress for sure, especially here in New York. After all, as of this past Wednesday, we in Nassau County have entered stage 3, with restaurants, childcare, day camps, beaches, public transport, personal care services, and more all opening up. But even so, it seems that life is still far from being back to any kind of true normalcy. And the news beyond our state is ominous, with COVID cases and hospitalizations on the rise in Arizona, Florida, Texas, and more. 7 states are currently at an all-time high for numbers of COVID hospitalizations. And a new forecast from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that the U.S. could soon see 150,000 fatalities. Vayishma Moshe, and when Moses hears this, he falls on his face. In this week's Parsha, Korach, we encounter fear, frustration, resentment, confusion, exasperation, and anger. Over 3 months into the pandemic, I believe that each of us in different ways can relate to these emotions. So what wisdom might our Parsha come to offer? In the case of Korach and his band, it is God who ultimately decides whether the rebels' complaint against Moses has merit. In other words, at times of change and uncertainty, times of unrest and frustration, we are called, even compelled like Moses, to look inward as he falls on his face, to look upward as he calls out to God. But what answers do we hear? What is the Torah of this time? What are we as Jews and Americans and as citizens of the world being called to learn? For each of us, the lessons are no doubt different, but I will share a piece of Torah that is emerging for me as I look inward and outward and upward. The Torah of Corona, as Mayor's Lunch and Learn series calls it, is in part for me a teaching about invisibility. Corona reminds us that sometimes that which is most real are the things we can't see at all. To wear a mask is to acknowledge the reality of invisible vapors, ineffably transferred from one person to another, tiny particles invisible to the naked eye that can bring lives, communities, and nations to their knees. To wear a mask is to say that even if I cannot see people getting sick in front of me at this very moment, I am aware of real forces, processes set in motion by my quiet choices that will have an impact. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but weeks from now. To wear a mask is to honor the reality of some things which cannot be seen. Judaism has always done this. Think of how we began this evening with the Davis family. As we light Shabbat candles, we cover our eyes, honoring not the visible light of sun and moon, or of light bulb, or even flame, but rather the spiritual spark which ignited all creation. And if you had to pick another prayer that summons the notion of invisibility, what would it be? Think for a moment. We've got a lot of regular prayers here. You could even put it in the chat. A prayer that summons invisibility. For me, it's the Shema. It's customary to close or cover the eyes with the right hand when reciting the Shema. This practice was first recorded in Talmud, Brachot 13b to be exact, which describes Rabbi Judah Hanassi, Judah the prince, covering his eyes to say the Shema so that he would not be distracted by his students. Centuries later, in 17th century Prague, Rabbi Ezekiel Landau would also cover his eyes for Shema, but for a very different reason, because he found it too hard to affirm complete faith in God while looking at the suffering and imperfection of the world around us. Closing our eyes allows us a space, even for a few brief moments, to affirm not what is, but what could be, to consider the possible. There is a breathtaking moment in this week's Parsha which relates to invisibility. Korach and his band have riled up the masses, and the community stands against Moses and Aaron with their fire pans at the entrance to the tent of meeting. And God says to Moses, Hibadlu mitoch ha'edah hazot, stand back from this community. Va'achale otam karega, that I may eat them up, that I may annihilate them in an instant. If you were Moses, what would you do? You've got this band of people threatening to kill you, to overtake you. You've done so much for them. They're coming at you with everything they got, blaming you for everything that's wrong. What would you do? He does it again. Moses and Aaron. Vayiplu al pnehem, they fall on their faces. It's like closing their eyes to look inward. And this is what Moses says to God. El Elohei haruchot l'chol basar, God, source of the breath of all flesh. Ha'ish echad yecheta, when one man sins, va'al kol ha'edah tiktsof, you're going to be wrathful with everyone? Moses would not let God destroy all those rebels, the very people that were there at his throat. He tried to save their lives, but will they ever know? Will that moment that Moses to God conversation ever be visible to them? No. The Torah of Korach, and perhaps of Corona time too, is a call to remember all that we cannot see, the reality that runs beneath the surface, but on which our lives depend. And it's not just Corona. Even if we are thinking about matters of race, of justice, of equality, now is a time in which we are called to think about what may have been invisible to us before. Now is a time to awaken, to acknowledge, to be humble like Moshe. And the Shema urges us not only to look, but even more important, to listen. In one interpretation of the words of this ancient prayer, Shema Yisrael, this is in fact the call of Jacob's 12 sons to their father. Shema Yisrael, they say to their father, listen up, Yisrael, Yaakov, Jacob, Dad, Adonai Eloheinu. I know you worry about us. I know we fight a lot, but Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai is still our God. Adonai Echad, we know that God is one. And then Jacob responds, almost in a whisper, as he prepares to die, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Ba'ed. Yes, even though on the surface there is division, I, Jacob, know that things are going to be okay, that there is something brewing that may not quite be visible yet, a people in my sons. God is one. The danger of Korach is that he and his band divide the community. The Torah of Corona is the knowledge that we are invisibly bound together as one. I'll conclude with one more teaching about the Shema. It's a story told of Rabbi Yosef Kahaneman, a prominent Lithuanian rabbi born in 1886. After the Holocaust, Rabbi Kahaneman went looking for Jewish children who had been hidden in convents and churches and orphanages during the war. It is told that the rabbi would walk through orphanages throughout Europe, and it was very hard to tell whether a child was Jewish or Gentile. So what did Rabbi Kahaneman do? He would recite the Shema, and as soon as he did, instinctively the Jewish children would cover their eyes. The Torah of this challenging time reminds us to tune into what we cannot see, to better times ahead, to know that our lives and those of our neighbors depend upon unseen forces and upon our private, silent, and often invisible choices. On this Shabbat Korach, may our choices be ones of compassion and courage, ones that remind us of the invisible ties that bind us together as one race, one human community. Ken Yehi Ratzon. We rise now for Aleinu 282.
שמיים ויוסר הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינת עוזו בגובה מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים
287.
ונאמר בהיה אדוני
As always, before we close, we remember loved ones. And if I read the name of a loved one you're remembering, feel free, please do rise. And afterwards, before we offer Kaddish, if you want to add a name, rise and share the name out loud in your home. Or in the chat, yeah, for sure, definitely. So laid to rest in the last 30 days, Geraldine Katz, Sylvia Lester, Bob Galvin, and Milton Siegel. We remember as well those whose yortzeit falls on the Shabbat in this week. Spencer Bree Ahmed, Evelyn Derman, Belle Goldman, Dorothy Green, Gerald Gross, Alan Joseph Gusak, Ivan Cates, Arthur Raymer, Angela Schwimmer, Deborah Halpern Silverman, Eve Smith, and Paul Bennett Smith, and Hank Stevens. We know there's a number of you who are still in some beyond Shloshim, but in the first year. Share the name, write their names if you would in the chat. Sure, Dana, I see you writing. Thank you. Remember your beloved dad. I'm sure there are others. Nina, you're there. Who else? It's hard for me to see everyone. Anyone else? Anyone else want to add a name before we rise? Okay. Len Johnson, Michael Nevins, exactly, Isaac Ehrlich. Wonderful, okay. We hold all of them in our hearts, share our love and gratitude. We stand on their shoulders, all of those who we remember at this time. So Mourner's Kaddish on 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'yoma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, b'galav izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. Vitadar vit'aleh vit'halal shemei dekudesha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya. B'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael. Imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel and to all humanity. And let us say, amen.
If you're standing, you may be seated.
Beautiful sermon, Tara. I love all that's most precious we can't see.
So we'll offer a few announcements and then close out our service with Kiddush and Motzi. So let's see. There is no virtual Oneg tonight, but we'll pick it up again next week, hosted by Linda Diamond. Thank you. And if you're interested, we are looking for some new virtual Oneg hosts. So if you'd be interested in having people on your virtual screen as you chat and connect and have some treats, please let us know. We'd love to have new hosts. It's a wonderful way.
It doesn't cost anything. It really doesn't.
You don't even have to host?
You get to fill your time with some wonderful friendship and yeah, okay.
Hope to see you for Torah study tomorrow, 9:15. And for a Shabbat morning service, I believe, a wonderful lay-led experience. Kudos to Jen Still, who's been leading us with that. I believe Cantor Davis may be dropping in. And then 9 p.m., Havdalah, Shea Feldman again. And yes, and then next Shabbat will be our official first Shabbat with Cantor Adam Davis. So that's really, really thrilling to announce that. So Monday and Thursday, morning minyan, you'll be taking a break, is that right?
Yeah,
Yep. And also Lunch and Learn will be taking a little break. Even Rabbi Mayer, the Energizer Rabbi, needs to rest. But Coffee with the Clergy will continue on Wednesdays. And also keep your eye out. We know there was a very big announcement about this exciting upcoming religious school merger with Temple Israel, and we are going to be having parlor meetings so that you can talk about questions and we can flesh it out. It's an incredibly exciting moment for us, so keep your eye out for those announcements. Also reminding you that we are still doing the wonderful Casual Family 6 p.m. Experience that was visioned by the religious school committee, and you can come, you can bring grandkids, 6 to 6:30, share
Great place
blessings.
to meet up with your grandkids who might be in some other zip code or maybe even county or state.
And
Yay, Abrams. The Abrams got to be with their grandkids tonight.
yeah, it's just a really sweet, easy way to be together. Come try it. So it's very warm. Also, if you would like a shabag with challah and candles and a treat, please let one of the clergy know, or the main office, or one of the amazing religious school committee members, Debbie Sutton, Dana Sebeski, Gabby Verkman, Casey Bowen. Doing a lot of Hebrew learning. Thank you, David Wolf. If you want to join with more, those classes are having such a wonderful success. And coming up July 2nd, Parents and Children Cooking Together with Mark and I believe Hannah Eskin, 4 p.m. July 2nd. That's a Thursday. One of the things that's sometimes invisible to us is thinking about those who are hungry and living close by. So it was an incredible thrill to, this Thursday, have a group of Temple Beth-El volunteers picking up food from the Samuel Fields Y, bringing it to St. Al's, such that St. Al's can be open now every Saturday, not just every other. If you're interested in that, please contact the main office or me or Jackie McCabe. We are doing collections. Check out the spotlight on social action. That was an email you got this week, but we are collecting all kinds of things for our local neighbors who are feeling the hardship of this time more intensely than we can imagine. Thank you, as always, to the Botwiniks, especially Greg, and especially this week because you got your license. So you are not only a tech wizard, you are a driver. Be safe.
Thank you.
Greg, there's one important rule. Just because you have your driver's license does not mean you're allowed to spend less time with your mom and dad.
Of course. I will definitely spend more time with them.
Okay.
And also want to acknowledge that tomorrow is Joy Polevsky's birthday, and no one cares more about Temple Beth-El than Joy Polevsky. So be sure to send your good wishes to her. So now, Kiddush is going to be offered by Sandy and Fred Gretsch, who are celebrating, I believe, 48 years of wedded bliss as of this past Wednesday. So if the Gretches are around, we are on.
We are here.
All right, lift a glass. That's amazing.
Two glasses.
So they're going to offer the beginning of the blessing, and then we'll pick up from there. If you have a glass, raise it high. Go for it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lemaaseh bereishit. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים. And mazel tov on new arrivals in your family, and only good things. Only good things. And now over to the Margalas, who, it's a rare congregant that just takes it upon herself to come and bring challah to the temple every week. And so just
Everybody raise your challah.
raise your
Anyone
challah
who
up.
has
If
a
we both
challah,
raise it
raise
up,
it.
we'll make two loaves.
Yay, Joanne, yay. Anybody else, raise your chalot, everybody. Come on. All right, yay, Elizabeth, it's great to see you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Thank you, guys. Great to see you, Elizabeth.
And thank you, Shai, who's also working the tech and making all of this possible, along with Artistry and Soul. Okay, we will end as we began. La, 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 la.
Shabbat shalom, all.
Shabbat
See you
shalom.
very soon.
Wishing you a sweet, restful, healthy Shabbat.